where
chats, and then the environment was cleaned up.
the first time I was hearing about this stuff, it was totally new to me.
With social impact consulting. Beloved Abimbola. She's been a really great host with the Lagos Food Bank Initiative. They're doing a program with lactating mothers and nutrition, making sure they have the right nutritional status so that they can feed their babies well and they can get nice and fat. Yeah. So nice and plumpy. So, and that they are healthy because so she's showing us what they're doing. And so we're really, really excited about that. So we're going to shoot down here first, you know, and then go upstairs. This is just behind the scenes footage. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Or tell more people about this program so that they can continue to benefit from it. So tell us about yourself and how you heard about this program with the Lagos Food Bank Initiative. And there are some things he would say you may not say. There are some things you may say he may not say. So you get what I'm saying? So when we're doing cutaways, you might feature, he might feature. Yes, so that's what we're doing. So like a video podcast called the Development Sector Series, Devsectorseries, every Wednesday. And I'm actually going to invite us to be interviewed because it's like it's just highlighting what the development sector is doing. And I feel like there needs to be more, and there's not as much of that in terms of content. I mean, yes, we do have our documentaries that we post on YouTube, but I feel like it's for research purposes, like a postdoc student trying to research the impact of nutrition. Yeah. They search on YouTube and the stuff comes out, and then they watch it, and then they're able to write their paper or do their report. But in terms of making sure that we're able to effectively communicate this with this, I'm so passionate about this.
Because even before coming to work here, I never knew a food bank even existed in Nigeria. So I have like there's a postgraduate student.
Okay.
Hello everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Development Sector Series, which is Devsectorseries. This is Efwa Ellens Ede with Social Impact Consulting. We're a development consultancy firm that looks to maximize social impact. So which is what we're going to be doing today in this conversation. This is a very special episode because this is a Friday episode, and we usually have the series on Wednesdays at 12 noon, but trust me, you don't want to miss this, okay? So you all should log on, like and share, because we're going to be having a really robust conversation about organizational development. Do you want to be a nonprofit that builds an institution for impact? You want to listen to this broadcast, okay? If you want to even know what kind of organizations to partner with as an individual, as an organization, as a corporation, the whole 9 yards, you want to be here to have this conversation. So make sure you just kind of chat up. Let us know where you're hailing from. I see a couple of people on LinkedIn hailing that they're from Abuja. I see Ahi Joseph. Anodaze, sorry, I don't know if I said that right, but thank you so much. You have been consistent every week watching. Excited. Phoebe Aniche from Abuja, thank you guys for watching. And I know there are a couple of people on Facebook. Come on, don't be shy. Let me know where you're hailing from so that I can give you a shout out, or I will thank you personally. You just saw some like a documentary behind the scenes. That is, I'm producing a documentary called Untold Impact. It is a 4-part episode documentary on the role of civil society in national development. Especially now that we're going into election season in Nigeria, the public needs to know the critical and strategic role of civil society in the process. So we're in post-production, we're working on it, and it's going to be out soon. So I'm going to be having behind the scenes footage. I'm going to be having various interview snippets with some very, very strong resource people. Please, once you see them on social media, like, share, get the word out for me, okay? Because we'll all be working together to change the world, okay? So now today is a special episode, like I said. We are going to be talking with an organizational development expert. Before I even bring him on, you will see on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, you will see a link on each of the posts. It says, please register here. So those of you who have logged on, please just click on the link and just it's just a short form, short and sweet. Fill it out, so that we can just kind of, so that we're able to follow up with you, okay? So click on the link so that you can register as our subject matter expert shares details with you about organizational development, some of the trends and everything. So what I'm going to do, we're going to be talking about organizational development solutions. So what I'm going to do is share his video bio in just a moment, and then I will bring him right up. See you soon. Thankgod Okosun is a development professional, fellow of the following groups: African Institute of Public Health Professionals, International Organizational Development Networks, and scholar of the Institute of Peace, Conflicts, and Development Studies. He's an organizational development advisor of the Strengthening Civil Advocacy for Local Engagement SCALE project, implemented by Palladium and funded by USAID. The Palladium project aims to improve organizational capacity, managerial, financial, and institutional strengthening for sustainability for Nigerian CSOs. Over the past 16 years, Thankgod has focused exclusively on transforming the institutional strengthening and business development landscape across civil society organizations, business membership organizations, private sector, public enterprises, and entrepreneurial sectors in sub-Saharan Africa. Through his effort as an expert in organization reengineering, he has mentored and transformed over 120 organizations from nascent to a position to attract and manage large donor grants, with more than 1,500 CSOs benefiting from his coaching and mentorships. His previous footprints, including the team lead of USAID's Strengthening Advocacy for Civic Engagement, implemented by Chemonix, Country Director, Planned Parenthood Global, Project Director, USAID-DAI Youth Powered Ecosystem for Adolescent Health, Regional Advisor, Organizational Development for Planned Parenthood Global, and Business Development Advisor for USAID Lopin 2 Project. Areas of specialties include strategic planning and development, project design proposal development, organizational diagnosis, system strengthening, strategic reengineering, strategic board development, resource mobilization, mentoring, coaching, research and documentation, team building, materials development, and project management and business development innovations. Thankgod has over 25 years of experience in the development space. Allow me to introduce to some and present to others Thankgod Okosun. Hello. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. I know that you're extremely busy. Thank you so much. Just a minute. Somebody just responded on LinkedIn that the link is not opening. So I don't know if we can get another link to share or what have you. So just to kind of flag that. But again, thank you so much for being here. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear me?
clear.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
can hear you
Okay.
clearly.
Yeah, okay, awesome. Okay, so this is one of the areas that I'm very passionate about with regards to the sector, strengthening nonprofits to become the institutions of impact, because as you know, once they are able to once they become institutions, they are able to have to impact on a much larger scale, which betters Nigeria as a whole, or wherever they are, whatever community they are in Africa or wherever they are around the world, they are able to really maximize impact. So I'm very passionate about this subject area. So having a conversation with you as an expert in this area is such a pleasure. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you very much, Efra,
Okay.
for having me here.
No problem. So we're gonna get started. So tell us, what are some of the criteria you look for in an institutionalized nonprofit? Because you are working with you are working on a large project right now. So what do you look for?
Yes, again, thank you, Efra, for having me. And I want to thank the CSO communities that are apparently hooked up on this educative section. And you're doing a great job, Efra.
Thank you.
Social impact is making a lot of impact.
Thank you.
And these are the kind of people we look for. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So having said that, I just wanted to say at this point that a lot of persons must begin to recognize the fact that the non-state actors in developing country are beginning to make strong relevance. We know about government. There are three tripods that engage in terms of development or issues around institutionalization anywhere in the world. But particularly in developing country, we find that the government is one arm, the private sector is another arm, and then you have the non-state actor, which is represented by the CSOs, or the non-profits organizations. And in the face of poverty that we find ourselves and a whole lot of issues that require to be addressed, and the government are not able to meet the demand, the non-state actors, particularly the non-profits, become very, very relevant in the issues of interventions. They become the spokespersons. They become the one that have to, speak on behalf of not just the vulnerable population, the critical mass of Nigeria. And so for us, having the privilege to work and to mentor and to provide technical oversight to the CSOs, we look for very strong areas to be able to ensure that they are doing the work that they are doing. I will just speak to three because of time. One aspect of it is sound corporate governance structure. We look for strong corporate governance structure. I would want to say that governance is everything as far as NGO is concerned. An NGO can operationalize good corporate governance, and once they can operationalize that, they are able to represent the critical mass which they are expected to work with. But for that to happen, when we mean sound corporate governance, it means that you must have a functioning board of trustees or board of directors, depending on what you are looking at. And I will speak quickly here on selection of the board. And that is where the issues are in terms of what we look for. And so when we talk about selection on the board, you must be able to attract persons with the requisite expertise, as also experience with high level of integrity and values. We must not fall into the temptation of what I refer to as letter-headed board of trustees. Letter-headed board of trustees who are prominent people but do not have time for the organization. We look for those bloated names, as a way of thinking that is how our organization works. And also, we must not fall into a temptation of household board of trustees, who are relations, maybe by way of wife, brothers, and just trying to coin that. We must not fall into that temptation as well. And so, therefore, you must look for fairly well experienced board of trustees who are interested in your NGO beyond the requisite skill they bring into play. And then you must also have time for, they must also have time for the organization. Having time here means they should be able to interface with what is happening, and they must have respect for that organization. And do not forget also that they also must have what we refer to as a term limit. And that is a question that is a challenge, having to have endless board that do not recognize the fact that they have a limit. The second one, can you hear me, everyone? Hello?
Loud and clear, loud and clear. I just put the full screen for you.
Okay.
But I can hear you loud and clear.
The second one is staffing. Recruiting capable hand cannot be in any way an option. It is compulsory. I've heard some people say, because we are just starting an NGO, we will just recruit people who have not the capacity to be able to who have no capacity to be able to provide those requisite skills. Now, what I say is that even if they are corpers, get intelligent persons, get people that are skilled. Begin with people that you think have some kind of experience that can complement your work. Have a clear job descriptions of what you want them to do. If you want to have myself and myself alone, you are not likely to go far. So one of the criteria we want to look at is, do you have those staff? Do you treat them well? Do you treat your staff well? One of the things I've discovered in NGO is that people think that the head of an organization can be sustained with their own technical ability alone. People come with the mindset that they have worked with several international NGOs, they have functioned in those capacities, so they can make the organizations work. You need people, experienced, qualified, trained people to make your organization work. You must treat them well, because people react to how they are treated. When you treat them well, you are likely to get better productivity. If you do not treat them well, you will have the result of attrition. Work must meet the individual's needs and organization's expectation. And how do we do that? You must motivate your people that you work with. Give them challenging process. I'm not saying you pamper them, but give them a room to know that wherever they are working, they have a stake. You don't suppress people's emotions. You don't suppress people's ideas. When you do that, you find out one of the things is that they begin to value the relationship they get from that organization. So number 2 is adequate staffing. Number 3 is the management and processes. What I mean by this management of processes is you must have in place programs, finance, management system. And then in the program, you must have program activities, which is clear as to what you are doing. You must streamline your activities in such a way that the donors understand what you are doing. That it must be clear. And then your financial, no matter how rudimentary it is, develop financial management policy. the manual on how you function. Get external auditors. They are not too expensive. Some people think they are expensive. They are not. To give you early information as to how your project is doing in terms of finance. Make sure you do a budget, no matter how small. Whether it is a donor or your own organization, get a budget. Practice the use of ensuring that budget guides your activities. Then another one under that same management is people management. Like I said, respect for your staff is not spoiling their activities. It's not pampering them. Respect them. Reward performing staff. Create career path. Measure their performance using the performance appraiser, and allow that performance appraiser to guide recruitment, promotion, discipline. Then finally, what do we look for is that you must deal with yourself. What do I mean by dealing with yourself? The zeal that you bring into your NGO is not enough. You must develop the culture of learning. Allow independent assessment to guide your thinking. Deny yourself of gratification, as a way of saying that I'm working hard. Then I must, this is a grant. It's a 60 million grant. I work hard for it. Let me take my own first. When you do that, you think that people don't know that you are doing it. Your staff will follow suit, and you are likely not to be able to do more. So do not manage with your heart alone. Also manage with your head in place. Not just your heart. Let the process of listening to others guide your thinking. When you are thinking as an NGO, as a person or an ED, when you have an integrity, your staff will have an integrity. So finally, before I conclude on this, you must shun entitlement mentality. This is my NGO. When you do that, your policies are not likely to work. People are likely not to be able to advise you. And so 3 things that we look for is sound corporate governance, adequate staffing, or staffing that have some kind of precise skill that guides your thinking, and then the management and processes. I think I'll stop it at that point.
Wow, that was very succinct, but said a whole lot. So what should a non-profit startup begin to build so that their organization becomes, and what should a non-profit startup begin to do for their organization and brand? So a startup, you've just mentioned, you just said, I want to start an NGO. Like, how do they begin to build so that it starts on a strong foundation?
Yeah, you mentioned the word brand, and that is where I'm taking it from.
Okay.
When you get the word brand, when you say to be able to get to a point where you brand an identity for your organization, you must begin from inception. And first, every starting point of an organization must recognize that they must have a vision, a mission, and a core value. As we speak, many organizations, because they just wanted to establish an organization, their vision and mission start and stop at their constitution and their corporate affairs commission registration. No one drives that vision or mission. And as long as you are not responsible to driving your vision and mission and your values, then you are not likely to create a brand for yourself or an identity that will guide you. So when you have a clear purpose that is shaping your strategy, effective strategy, then you will have relevance, you will have a brand. So in effect, what am I saying? And then saying that the vision and mission and value should prompt your thinking on what you want your direction to be. The direction you have is dependent on the mission and the vision you have created for yourself. So the question I would want to ask is, are you asking yourself, how much of improvement do I have an impact for my community? Every vision and mission have a footprint for beneficiaries. And that footprint for beneficiary tells us, where do I want to be in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years? How much of impact do I want my beneficiaries to have? That should be your guiding process. Yes, donors, have their own strategies and their missions, but your own vision will guide you to know the kind of interventions you need. Identify organizations that are working the same way with your core values, and then work with them, network with them. See, when we are talking about startup does not start with a silos. Startup means that first, you have existed before, you have some form of experience, you have a passion, but some other people have the same passion and the same calling, as it were, that enable them to also work in those kind of collaboration, network together. And when you do that, you begin to see what we refer to as organizational effectiveness. Now, in a nutshell, what do you need to be able to have an effective startup? You need a strong board. You need a strong management. You need a strategic plan. Even if it's 2 years or 5 years, you need a succession plan, even from inception, that will tell that you mean business and you recognize people are people that can be mentored by you. You need processes of policies that work. They must be reviewed. They must be operational. If you go to the internet to go and pick policies, you can't implement them because you were not the one that developed it. Mm-hmm. If you do not train your staff with them, you are not likely to have it. So your startup for you to have a startup that works, then all these ones I just mentioned must work. And then finally, on this, your ability to be able to create high quality program is dependent on the character or the what do I call it? The quality of staff that you recruit. You will have to recruit high-level criteria, like I mentioned before. The quality of staff is dependent on how you are able to manage people, mentor them, and move them to the next level. So startup, of course, is the beginning, but getting all this to happen will make organization to become a brand and an identity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that response. Okay, so now we're going into emerging nonprofits now. It is said that NGOs in Nigeria are over-regulated. How can NGOs now navigate the compliance process here in Nigeria?
Okay, this is a good question. Okay, the last time I checked, there are 2 major government regulations that are policies that are signed by governments that regulate NGO. The first is the Company and Allied Matters Act of 2020, which was signed into an act August in 2020, revised. Then the second is the CAMA law. The CAMA law of 2020 is the first, and then you have the FIRS laws that regulates tax and the kind of tax that you are supposed to pay in Nigeria. These are the 2 major laws that regulates NGO in Nigeria. But in the midst of that, we find a lot of compliances which NGOs are supposed to obey or to comply with. For example, CSOs are expected to ensure that they have a tax exempt. Tax exempt is for organizations who are non-profits, but they must have evidence that they have a tax exempt. They must have a pay for their staff. Their staff are not exempted from paying tax, but the NGO, because it's a non-profit, is exempted from paying tax. They must also have what we refer to as the SCUMU, the Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering, which is a requirement from EFCC. They also are regulated to have the Financial Reporting Council, which is a 1% of what they're supposed to pay to government. Then you have the NSITF, National Social Investment Trust Fund, which is for worker safety as a form of insurance. And then you have also the withholding tax, which is supposed to be paid for either by consultancy or kind of properties or whatever. And then, of course, finally, we have the PENCOM, a pension that is expected to be paid for staff. All these are compliance issues. But in the midst of this, one of the things I've discovered at F1 is that some of these tax that are placed on CSOs are becoming something that is overburdening them.
Honestly.
It is not only for CSOs. Even the private sectors are worse. Now, if the private sectors are worse, and this is where I keep talking about mutual benefits between the private sectors and the CSO, the common denominator is that they are overregulated, they are overtaxed. But at the same time, the private sector seems to see CSOs more like parasitic rather than mutual benefits. If private sector begin to engage CSOs, because they are the mouthpiece of the critical mass and the issues, in relation to policies and reforms, to begin to speak, including the regulation that is restricting their businesses, then we will find mutuality between private sectors and CSOs. This is a ground I want us to be able to explore. Governments are not in silos. Governments govern the people. So if we can get a kind of a synergy between CSOs and the private sectors, we'll begin to see these over-regulated issues begin to happen. But as long as it does not happen, we will continue to have issues of compliance, which is a critical compulsory component that the CSOs must comply with. These 831 I just mentioned are compulsory, and it is expected that they comply. But one of the areas I'm really pushing is how I can get CSO to begin to engage the private sector, so that they can truly look at some of these regulations that can help to ease doing business, as it were, for that language. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is really something. I know when I was in JAN, we were, Junior Achievement Nigeria, were engaging a lot with the private sector and some other CSOs in Lagos. So these are conversations that need to be had, like CSOs around the country communicating with even some of the CSOs that are even heavily funded by the private sector, for them to have these kind of holistic conversations on compliance. So thank you for that.
I think it's a very critical, important aspect, and we should find a way to strengthen that relationship between private sectors and CSOs, so that both sees themselves as mutually beneficial arms.
Exactly. Okay, let me go to the next question. So, as you know, development agencies like USAID, EU, DFID, they intend to fund local non-profits directly. Can you please tell us a little bit more about that? I'm going to go off screen, but I'll be back on shortly.
Okay. So I can go ahead, right?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, good. Now, are people able to register? Can you verify that we have registration going on? I think that
yes, I have even what I have done is that I even wrote it in the comments again. Please make sure you click the link to register. Okay?
Once you click, you register. I registered before I started. So
yes, I even I actually saw the link myself, and it actually is functional. So if you can please click on the link and register. This is a lot of value added in terms of, because what he's talking about is like a week of lectures just crammed up in one sitting, and the points are very salient and you can just grab it. So please just click on the link and register. Okay, thank you so much. So again, the question: development agencies like USAID, they intend to fund nonprofits directly. So can you talk to us more about that and how that process is going?
First, I must commend USAID. USAID is one of those agencies that have placed local actors' capacity as a foundational component and driving it with all practical, belief that they can make it work. They've used several strategies, and USAID, by way of the kind of sincerity of purpose and practicality, they have demonstrated that they really will want local NGOs, for lack of a better language, to work and to function. So local capacity development is the cornerstone of sustainable development as far as USAID is concerned. Yes, we have international organizations that are currently driving the process. For USAID, they are truly looking at a situation whereby we have NGOs in Nigeria who have the capacity to manage large grants. For example, Palladium is managing a large grant that is building the capacity of CSO right now. For USAID, in the next 5 years after we have exited the process, they will want to see at least 6 that have that capacity: managerial capacity, financial capacity, resource mobilization drive, performance and sustainability and resilience, to be trusted enough that have the financial, with less risk to manage their grants. So the approach that USAID is using is on recognizing the fact that a process intervention, hand-holding, looking at capacity gaps, using scientific systematic process to look at capacity gaps, identifying those gaps, using systemic plan to intervene through coaching, hand-holding, mentorship processes, and then giving them some kind of test. Or do I use the word test? Maybe that's a wrong language.
Kind of like a pilot.
Kind of practice. Of a practice for them to demonstrate, those processes. That is what USAID is doing. Because at the end of the SCALE grant, we want to be proud of at least 6 organizations who, by reason of assessing large grant, demonstrates, that kind of stand. So for USAID, they want to be able to see a relationship that have existed across organizations, where they can truly see this is a consortium of Nigerian NGOs managing large grants. They are prime, and they are taking over, and they are demonstrating integrity. And so that is what USAID is looking at. And we're already seeing, that prospect coming to play. Because some of the NGOs that we are working with at the moment, and the story we are seeing, and the zeal of leadership, commitment, and drive from the top, including sanctity of the board and the synergy between the board and management, and how they are affecting the gaps that we are seeing, and the response from all kinds of intervention, multi-level intervention that SCALE is doing, is telling us that it is possible to get even much more than 6. And then we are to be able to do that. Yes. So we are seeing a lot of hope, in relation to building local capacity of our NGOs. And the USAID, at this point, we don't just take a large grant for a process of sustainability as far as the local NGO is concerned. They are going beyond that to go into what we refer to organizational performance.
I see.
Where they have what they call the CBLD9, which is a component of looking at a percent of organization that is able to assume a level of high-level organizational performance. When we say performance, we mean organizations that recognize their vision, drive that vision, and have created an identity and a legacy with that vision, and people now know them with that vision, and they have demonstrable footprint that their beneficiaries can truly say these organizations are working according to the vision. And so, but that cannot happen unless you have an internal system that works, your processes, your governance, your structures. When they work, then and you recognize that you have a strategic plan that is guiding your process, you are likely to get to a point of an identity and a brand that we spoke to at the beginning. So that is what USAID is looking at. It's not just looking at organizations that will get large grants. They are now looking at organizations that can also become an identity. I don't want to mention organizations here. We're already having some of them that when you look at elections and situation room, you can point to some organizations and say, these are organizations that are there. If you look at this around WASH, you can, and they're already creating a path and a niche for themselves. That is what we refer to as organizational performance. And that is what USAID wants to see. So for us, we are proud of USAID for what they are doing, and we're ready to drive this process because they recognize that there are internal capacity, local capacity and experts like us.
Yes.
We don't need to bring people from outside this country to make sure our organization works. So everyone is scale and local capacity with expertise, with capacity to make this happen. And I'm sure with all of us working on this, we will have that come to pass. Thank you.
Yes, I really want to commend USAID as well, Dr. Okosun, because that was the first thing that I observed, when visiting nonprofits all over the country. Like, these people have the capacity with just the right guidance, they will get there and be able to manage these grants. So, again, I just wanted you to provide some insight on that. So again, guys, make sure you fill out the form. And if you have any questions for Dr. Okosun, please put it in the comment section so that we can answer your questions. So if you have any questions, if you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, just put your questions in the comments and then we'll see to it that we answer your questions. Again, thank you all so much for watching. Click on the link and make sure that you register. Okay? And please just put your name and where you're watching from so that we can give you a shout out and I can thank you personally for coming. Thank you so much. So our next question. Now, the Organizational Development Summits, the first of its kind in the country, by the way, it's coming up July 27 to 28 at the Sheraton Hotel. It is overbooked as we speak, but hopefully people in the audience here can watch virtually. Just tell us about this landmark event.
Yeah, FY. This is one part of SCALE that will resonate for a long time. We're expecting a whole lot of the so what and the after effects of this. The summit is crafted to be able to galvanize a gathering of all players in the CSOs, private sectors, governments, business management, business membership organizations, to come to a common room, to begin to look at what we mean by the term institutionalization, when we mean sustainability, when we talk about performance. And this summit is a place for us to connect, to network, to look at how we can look at commonality, common denominators in terms of other organizations that are doing like what we are doing, to showcase thinking. For us, this organizational summit or development summit is one drive for the scale that will bring new thinking, new ideas, new system processes. You see, donors have tried. And they have used all kinds of strategies to see how they can institutionalize organizational development and bring sanity and integrity to the internal systems that will enable us to live up to the point of the technical skill that we have. But this system, these all are different strategies at different times. So we are bringing donors to the room. All donors that are high-level donors thankfully have accepted to participate in panel discussion. One key area that we're looking at so far is, what does donor mean when they talk about sustainable organization? What do they mean? Are there new thinking in the house that can help donors to think differently or strengthen their thinking? Is there a way to develop a common minimum standard of institutionalization so that when donors are calling for, the process of institutionalization, people have some common understanding of what that means? We will also bring CSOs together to say, what do you understand by institutionalization? How is donor organizational development? What do you think about them? What is your idea? When you hear it, what would you have expected? And that will bring a synergy between donors thinking and CSOs thinking. And we do hope that this summit will come out with that kind of big picture. And my expectation from this summit is that SCALE will come out with some kind of a high-level donor reference as to what they mean by minimum standards. And then we are also looking at how we galvanize private sector assets. But one challenge we have seen with the summit, most organizations, is that SCALE have discovered that private sector, like I mentioned before, see CSOs as small parasites. Whenever they need something, they'll say, come and help us, come and help us. Now, we are beginning to see that it is not just like that at all. There are a lot of value added between the CSOs and the private sectors. So we'll be looking at how can private sector assets be made easier? How can private sector begin to look at? So we are bringing places like Orlando Foundation, MTN Foundation. We are bringing the Odua Chambers to share on the abstracts on what they are thinking about private sector involvement. Extractive will be coming. We are looking at all kinds of places. And then we're also looking at how to ensure performance. We are bringing some NGO who we think have seamlessly transited from one ED to another without any rancor, and they are still strong. They have a succession plan. They have a governance manner policy that works. How have they fared? What is their experiences? So we're bringing very high-level NGOs to come and discuss some issues that resonate with us. And then, this is an organizational development summit. We are bringing global experts who will be, this is a hybrid, and this hybrid shows that they will we'll have a virtual conference, video conferencing with high-level technical. Anywhere you are, you'll be able to participate, provided you register. And so we are bringing high-level organizational development president of Global on Organizational Development Network to speak on issues around new thinking, new technology in organizational development, with our local experts as well. So, like you said, we actually had planned for, because it was inaugural organizational development summit, which we hope to attract donors to begin to think of how we can continue on this for the next 5 years and leave it behind for the ODS part to continue. You have been oversubscribed, and we are trying to manage the process. But one good thing I can assure everyone is that everyone will participate, either virtually or in person. If you cannot get the slot for physical, which is already closed for those who are, but you can still register for virtual, and we have that facility so you can participate. Now, finally, before I stop on this summit aspects, is to also mention that we have a paucity of organizational development experts in Nigeria. And SCALE, by reason of thinking at different levels on how to build the skill of experts, we have what we call an organizational development marketplace, which is a training that is the first of its kind, I want to say, in Nigeria, where we have organizational development marketplace. And we have been able to train some skilled persons for the last 6 months. They will be graduating with the summit. We will showcase that first product. They will showcase that first product. And at the end of the summit, we will galvanize all the experts in the house to form an association of network of experts on organizational development. We want to start an association that will begin to become a reference point so that the professionalization we need, but there's no university anywhere that is teaching organizational development in Nigeria.
There isn't.
Nowhere in Nigeria. So, but we want to be able to go into professionalization process, develop curriculum, begin to link with university and see how that works. So this is a big dream for us. We want the CSO community to celebrate this platform of Organizational Development Summit and begin to think towards attending either virtually, which most of the time, if you have not registered virtually, you will register. We will share the link with everyone that is on this so that they can also register, but it's only virtual vacancy that's available at this moment. Abstract will be shared, and it's between 27th and 28th of July in Sheraton Hotel, Abuja. And I'm looking forward to having all of you, either in meeting you or physically. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, so if you all have any questions for Dr. Okosun, look, the way you spoke about everything, you know, when you're, for me, how you know somebody knows what they are talking about is when you're able to explain it to somebody in primary 2 and they're able to understand what you are saying. That means you really know what you're talking about. So I felt like the way you simplified everything, anybody can get it. I actually just forwarded it to somebody who is like bare bones in terms of institutionalization of their nonprofit, because I'm like, this is very simplistic language. So it would not surprise me if people are, I don't have any questions. I understand everything loud and clear. Okay. So so again, you all make sure you click on that registration link and just let them know that you're coming. And again, if you're here and you want the link to attend the virtual summit, you may want to just click here and register so that you know, they can follow up with you to get the details on the summit. And those of you who are going to be there physically, I'll see you at Sheraton in Abuja. So Dr. Okosun, if you can be so kind to provide your final thoughts.
Yeah, as I mean, I know that, would you have any question?
Actually, I just saw a question. So here is from Francisca Chinelu Ekwonu. She says, "Hi Doc, when is the next batch of training going to open up? I am interested."
Okay, SCALE has a lot of trainings, several trainings. We have the webinar, which is a monthly webinar, and that is focused on organizational development. And we have series of, Francisca, I can link you up to that. And then we have other training that we float in advocacy, also webinar based. And then we have other ones that are for in-persons that some of them you have to find your way to the place, but we'll facilitate it for you free, you know, by way of our capacity engagement. But in all of these, there are several of them. We have other ones. There's civic space dialogue, which is always you have to become a household name, you know. And then we have the USAID-Strengthening area that also is part of what we're doing. So in all, Francisca, I will get your email, put you in my email bank, and begin to, whenever I share those links, I'm sure you are going to have it. But for the summit, it's coming up 27th and 28th.
Yes, so Francisca, make sure you register on the link that was shared with you, because Dr. Okosun would have your details to send you that information that you're looking for, okay? And then I saw here from Shegun Babalola. He says, kindly share the registration link for the 6-month OD training. Shegun, just make sure you register here so that he has your email address so that he can send you the link, okay? So just please click on that link and just register. It's a very short form, okay? Thank you. Okay.
Just to speak to that, the 6 months training is we'll go through a competitive recruitment process, interview and all that. It's once in a year, and this one is they are graduating with the OD Summit. We hope to float another one next year. And when we do that, we'll definitely get our email bank to if you are registered with us, we will definitely have that information.
Okay, that is great. So, Doc, if you can just provide us your final thoughts.
Yes, again, privileged to always have a forum like this to speak with what I love most. the passion of nation strengthening. I'm looking forward to a time where we have many organizations in Nigeria with a strong system, vibrant board, strong leadership, without conflicts of interest, transparency, accountability, with high level of mentorship culture, resource diversification, strong business plan that drive their process, strong organizational footprint that makes them to have a legacy. I'm looking forward to seeing that. And I know that we have great persons that have technical know-how. All we need is a foundation. I'll give you a story before I end. When I went to Lagos to see my friend recently, I saw my friend with a Prado Jeep, wonderful Prado Jeep. I was so excited. I said, "This is great." And then we ended up in a very local place in Lagos. Where was he staying? He was staying in one of the shanties where the house, he was not the owner of the house, it was in the rented apartment. He doesn't have a foundation. So his whole life is about the Prado Jeep. And he doesn't have a presence in terms of thinking of a house that he will live and be comfortable. That Prado Jeep would have built him a house. And so there are many people that will have technical capacity, wonderful technical capacity. They speak the English everywhere, but when you go to their system, they don't have internal strengthening system. They don't have financial, they don't have board governance, they don't have leadership. That is not the kind of leadership, kind of organization we are looking for. But an organization that showcases skill and have internal system. I leave that as a thought with you as we look forward to CSOs that have the enabling capacity to run the process of NGO in Nigeria. Shalom.
Thank you so much, just in time. Thank you so much for that very, very educational and rich conversation on organizational development. Thank you so very much. This is not going to be our last conversation, Dr. Okosun, because organizational strengthening, I feel like it's time for Nigerian NGOs and African NGOs to have the institutional strength to take on international funding and to even be able to self-sustain themselves so that they are even able to outlast even donor funding. So this is the time. So we're going to continue to have more conversations about this moving forward. Again, thank you so much for coming, and we'll be in touch a little later, sir. Can you hear me? I said thank you so much. Bye. Okay, so we thank you. I'm excited about having Dr. Okosun again for being here, having a conversation with us about organizational development solutions. I mean, the way he broke things down really amazed me about, how to get those institutions in place. And even this is a time, if you're an organization, if you're a startup NGO, and you need help in terms of making sure that you have systems in place, now is the time for you to do that. Because these donors and these bilateral agencies are looking for you. When you have your institutions in place, you're not going to have to look for them. They will look for you, because there are lots of organizations that are looking for people like you, okay? So again, thank you so much for watching. Remember, Untold Impact coming up very soon, the role of civil society in national development. I'm very excited about this documentary. Stay tuned. I'm going to be sending you snippets on Reels, on posts, and everywhere. So make sure you like and share those, okay? Thank you again so much for coming. See you next week, Wednesday at 12 noon on the Development Sector Series, #Devsectorseries. Thank you again for watching, and let's change the world together. Take care.